The title for today's reflection is Family Feud. The Christian scripture reading is from the Gospel of St. Luke, chapter 6, verses 26 to 27, and I'm reading from the Contemporary English Version. You are in for trouble when everyone says good things about you. That is what your own people said about those prophets who told lies. This is what I say to all who will listen to me. Love your enemies and be good to everyone who hates you. The Hebrew scripture reading is from the book of Genesis. Genesis chapter 45, verses 1 to 5, reading from the James Moffat translation. Joseph could control himself no longer before all the bystanders. He called out, "Make every man withdraw." No one who was present when Joseph made himself known to his brothers. Although he wept so loud, the Egyptians heard of it, and the Pharaoh's household heard of it. Joseph said to his brothers, "Pray come near." When they came near, he said, "I am your brother Joseph, whom you sold into slavery into Egypt. Now do not be vexed or angry with yourselves that you sold me here, for God sent me in front of you to be a preserver of life." There's a level of ugly that I think comes from family feuds that really just isn't present almost anywhere else and seems to be very difficult to understand. One famous family feud was between the Hatfield family and the McCoy family. An online Time magazine article indicates that they're not really sure how this feud started. There's speculation it may have started over differences over civil war. Another possible cause is a stolen pig. The Civil War was quite divisive for Americans, so I kind of understand that getting a little out of control. But a stolen pig seems a bit excessive to me. I don't really understand killing people over a pig. In 1882, Ellison Hatfield was shot. That caused the Hatfields to retaliate by killing 3 McCoy brothers. The two families sought revenge for wrongs for a number of years. Unfortunately, there are times when one family is divided too. On both sides of my family, there are a few minor divisions that existed at one time. In neither case do I know exactly what was the cause, but there were some hard feelings. The story of Joseph has a lot of drama. Joseph's life reminds me of a suspense-filled soap opera. Joseph is from a dysfunctional family. In Joseph's family, his popularity and power and prestige seem to rise and fall and rise and fall. At the very height of his popularity, Joseph's father gives him a pride coat, a coat of many colors. A combination of his coat and his vision seemed to be what was responsible for him being sold into slavery. Sold into slavery in Egypt. There were hard feelings between Joseph and his brothers, even though we may not pick up much about the sense and the cause of the hard feelings from a surface read of the story. Joseph appears to have violated the standards of norm for men. There might be a little bit of foreshadowing of this in the name of Joseph. Joseph's name itself means extravagance. The coat of many colors may have been a symbol of that extravagance for the brothers. And the coat probably wasn't masculine enough for his brothers. The Hebrew word that's translated coat in this particular story is only used in 2 narratives in the Hebrew Bible. It's used in the narrative of Joseph, and it's used in the story of David's daughter, Tamar. Jacob's coat, which some people considered to be a many-colored coat, may have been the mark of distinction for the virgin daughters of kings. We get that sense in 2 Samuel. While being old enough to be considered to be a man, Joseph is referred to as a child. As an adult, Joseph behaves more like a child too, curling his hair and penciling his eyes. When Joseph's brothers strip him, they degrade him in a manner that was rarely done to men in the biblical era. LGBTQ plus people may vote Joseph to be the most likely gay person in the Torah. There are numerous ways in which Joseph appears to vary from traditional gender expectations. He appears to have had no authority of his own. He derives his authority from his master. Potiphar, Joseph's first master, was a eunuch, and there's a sense of the fact that his master was a eunuch that kind of feminizes Joseph a lot. Within Islamic tradition, there's a sense that Joseph was probably considered to be the most beautiful man to have ever lived. We pick up the story here of the family feud within the household of Jacob and Joseph. Joseph now holds a powerful position in Egypt. Joseph's brothers are sent to pick up desperately needed food, and they end up buying that food from Joseph. The part of Joseph's life that we're looking at this week has to do when Joseph comes out to his brothers. We're not sure why Joseph asked everyone to leave. There's speculation that Joseph didn't want the Egyptians to know that his brothers sold him into slavery. But there are some other possible explanations. As a man in leadership, Joseph may not have wanted to look weak, showing a lot of emotion in front of people who were not a part of his family. A deep part of Joseph seems to want to reconnect with his family. Even though Joseph holds a lot of power in this part of the story, he probably feels weak and vulnerable as he comes out to his brothers. Tears and strong emotions are often a part of being weak and vulnerable, of extending forgiveness. Joseph reveals himself to his brothers when he says, "I am Joseph." In my Bible, the sentence ends with a period. Given the amount of emotion in the passage, a period doesn't seem quite right to me. I think an exclamation mark is required. No longer is Joseph cut off from family by being enslaved. He claimed his membership in the family when he claimed his identity. He is now known as his father's son, and that is important to Joseph. His aging father, Jacob, is mentioned 14 times in this story. And Joseph does something that's even more important than just saying who he is. Joseph identifies himself as their brother. The man sold into slavery recaptures, retakes his identity with his brothers as an equal. Even though obviously he holds much more power, he identifies himself as an equal. The Jewish commentator Sarna says that this is assurance to his brothers that he's going to treat them fairly and act as a brother. And Joseph truly acted as a brother by being open. Joseph, the one who is treated as an outcast and sold into slavery, makes a declaration, "I am equal. I deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. The next item of concern for Joseph is the health of his brothers. Joseph has already forgiven his brothers, or he would not be concerned about their health. Verse 5, "Now be not vexed or angry with yourself that you sold me here," shows that Joseph wants his brothers to forgive themselves for the harm that they did him and for their sins against both Joseph and God. This is a story of almost unimaginable wrongs, but it's also a story about more than that. It's a story about unimaginable forgiveness. I'm not sure which is more unbelievable, the sins against Joseph or Joseph's ability to forgive. The sins are almost unspeakably bad, and the forgiveness almost unspeakably wonderful. Even the most painful and damaging of sins can be forgiven. We don't have to carry the hatred and anger with us. We can leave the burden of hatred and bitterness and misery here today. Pain in life, unfortunately, is compulsory, but long-term misery is optional. And we do not have to carry with us hundreds or thousands of pounds of misery and bitterness on our shoulders every single day. I think it's Archibald Hart who says to the effect that forgiveness is the ability to give up the right to strike back, to hurt those who hurt us. Those who have the most power have the most opportunity to hurt back. So they must conquer that desire to hurt back. Joseph gave up his power to assume a role of a brother, an equal. Becoming an equal shows true forgiveness was in his heart. Offering forgiveness is not the same as kowtowing to a powerful ruler. I think forgiveness can only come from equal to equal. For slaves, being nice and polite, even if cans of garbage are dumped on their heads, is really not an act of forgiveness. It's their job. Because slaves do not have the right to strike back when their owner offends them. Because forgiveness was given and relationships were restored, the family was able to be family once again. Through forgiveness, we can build a bridge to create relationships, valuable relationships that last for years. Out of the bad can come good. The family of Joseph grew up in was really pretty messed up. Out of dysfunction can come healthier relationships, a more vibrant society. God has the ability to help bring to society forgiveness because God specializes in bringing good things out of the swirling void of life. God is asking us to be part of a new creation, a creation based on honesty, of leaving closets behind, and on forgiving, honest, open relationships that are based on equality. During Epiphany, and every other day of the year for that matter, we are called to be the light, the love, the warmth that we celebrate as having come into the world with the birth of Jesus. As we close, I invite you to imagine yourself lighting a candle. The candle is your heart. The candle holder is your body. And what flows from the candle is the love of your heart in the form of light and warmth and hope. And that is bringing the risen, living power of Christ with us wherever we go.